Today we're speaking with Joe Wheeler, co-author of The Ownership Quotient and executive director of the Service Profit Chain Institute, about why customer and employee ownership matter. Joe, in your book, The Ownership Quotient, you suggest that companies must foster relationships with customers who have the propensity to become owners. What are owner customers, and why is it important that companies cultivate these relationships?
Well, the way we define a customer owner, Mila, is by looking at those customers in your to your company that demonstrate three very specific behaviors. And the first one is that they actually spend time recruiting, like not just being intentional about recommending customers, but they do it. They're successful at recruiting new customers to your company. The second thing they do is they don't hesitate to provide you with ideas for new products and services. And the third thing they do is they provide constructive criticism in terms of improving the service experience or improving your processes. And this is important for a few reasons, not the least of which is one of the things we describe in the book is when we look at this empirically with a couple of our lead case study companies, what we find is that customer owners, as a distinct population of your customers, at least for one organization, was almost 50% more likely to actually recommend customers than non-owners. They were about 68% of the time successful in those conversions from non-customers to customers, and they provided significantly more suggestions for improvement every year. But in tough times, it matters even more. Like companies like SAS, for example, the business intelligence software company based on Cary, North Carolina, they achieve about a 98% customer retention rate, which is a really good indicator of high ownership quotient, especially from customers, obviously. And they actually hired an external firm to determine the value of that, and they estimated that the value that SAS achieves by having such high customer and employee ownership was around $80 million, which they will tell you is incredibly conservative.
So it sounds like customer-employee ownership pays off. So in getting there, you list 5 steps to boosting ownership quotient. They are implementing strategy, putting your best customers to work, boosting employee ownership quotient, engineering the ownership experience, and boosting the culture. What do you mean when you suggest putting your best customers to work?
Well, at the end of the day, companies that demonstrate a high customer ownership have really engaged their customers. And it turns out, at least when we look at best practice companies, is that they're very intentional about that. So on the low end of the spectrum here, we see companies like International Hotel Group, who own brands like Holiday Inn, just to name one, Crown Plaza, etc. They actually use some software from a company called CommuniSpace to run customer communities, and they engage 250 of their customers to help them do a lot of things like design the hotel room of the future, and customers happily participate because they feel like they're helping International Hotel Group really improve the customer experience. So that's one way of putting customers to work. At another end, we talk about a small company here in Boston called Karmaloop, who actually enlists their customers, a percentage of their customers, to help them design the products that they sell, and have built an incentive scheme that helps these, what they call their reps, the street team of customers, to recruit new customers to them. So they're literally this company's best sales force. So we see on one end of the spectrum companies that are really innovative in terms of thinking about how do we engage customers either in the production or the buying experience or the selling experience, and on the other end, a way to engage customers in a more intentional way to help give them feedback in a real-time way that shapes a better experience and helps drive improved operating costs.
Great. Now you mentioned earlier on that building ownership quotient is more important than ever now. So when you spoke about engineering the customer experience, you really mean deploying the technologies and tools necessary to produce a relevant and efficient experience. Do you see companies continuing to make that investment now, given the current economy?
We do. I'm actually off to New York in a couple weeks to visit one of the case studies in our book, a company called Victoria's Secrets, and we talk a little bit in the book about their technology they call line busing, which is a way for Victoria's Secrets in the stores to reduce the wait time customers have and by using some handheld technology. Now, it's interesting because when we look at that type of technology, it actually really helps boost sales in most cases, and is a better customer experience because you're in and out of the store faster, yet you've had a really good experience. At the same time, we've seen other retailers take that same technology and decide not to use it. So at Build-A-Bear Workshop, they looked at this type of technology and they said, the last thing I want my guests to feel is a hug from this bear builder. So even though, there was a technology that might improve efficiency, they compared that to what you said, Mila, which is really important, is what's it do to the relevance of the experience? And if it dilutes that in any kind of way, then you have to weigh the cost savings to what you're going to lose in terms of having high impact.
Definitely. So finally, Joe, in terms of creating an ownership culture, has any company done this and achieved success as a result? I know you've mentioned a couple others now in this interview.
Oh, yeah. Well, I wish we had, another hour. There's just so many to be able to describe, from Fairmont Hotels and Resorts, which is a wonderful company, to Baptist Healthcare, who actually wrote a whole book about their journey in terms of creating a wow culture. But the one I guess I would describe to you that, to me, really is extraordinary is a company in San Antonio, Texas, called Rackspace Hosting, which is about an 11-year-old technology company, fast-tracking despite a tough economy, at revenues of about $400 million. They're now a global company. They have offices in London, other places. But they will tell you that one of the major reasons for the success is the culture that Rackspace has built around this notion that they call fanatical support. And they have very clear values in terms of what it means at Rackspace to deliver fanatical support, and they've built a structure that really enables this culture. So this is an organization where they've really signed up for that Gallup process where you discover your strengths, and they hire based on those things and train. The chairman, Graham Weston, actually does the training around discover your strengths for new employees. And if you visit Rackspace, within 30 seconds, you understand this is a very special place, and their numbers support it in terms of their Net Promoter Score, their retention score. They grow about 25% just from their organic customer base versus like new market share growth because of the service experience that they create, and they attribute it to really the culture they formulated there.
Great. Well, thank you for speaking with me today, Joe. This has been a great interview. I appreciate it.
Mila, thanks. Great to chat with you today.
Likewise.
To learn more about relationship strategy, visit www.one2onemedia.com.